Hello plebs. In this video, I will be going over the full timeline and chronology of Burning Abyss. As you can tell, this is a very long, detailed, and thorough video, so feel free to take breaks and pause. I have divided this documentary into chapters, so you can relax in between each chapter. Alternatively, you could just not be a little bitch and watch it all the way through. Prequel. Burning Abyss, also known as Dante Turbo, is one of the most hated linear pieces of shit in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or one of the greatest and most innovative archetypes ever printed, depending on who you ask. Regardless of what you think about the deck, it is the most impactful deck in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Lasting over 3 years in the meta, to greater or lesser extents. The story and lore of the Burning Abyss comes from the 14th century divine comedy, Devil May Cry, written by Dante Alighieri as he makes his way through Hello Kitty Island in Italy with Alessandro Di Patria. Leading up to Duelist Alliance, the set was seen by many to be the major upscale of power creep in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! We went from setting a glorified man-eater bug and a spicy Sakuretsu armor to fusing from the main deck, and going like +5. The majority of the community were fixated on Shaddles and even Yangzing, because people legitimately thought setting Swanee and a creation could contend with 3 Shaddle fusion, 3 soul charge and 3 super polymerizations. Point being, in the lead up to Duelist Alliance, not many eyes were on Burning Abyss other than their cool lore and artwork. People were pretty hyped about being able to search tour guide. The beta for late 2014 looked like it was predicted to be Shaddle vs Stubborn, and in denial had players who finally managed to save up their allowance money for a playset of Artifact Sanctums. Chapter 1, Duelist Alliance, August 14, 2014. Duelist Alliance saw the release of the bread and butter cards of Burning Abyss and arguably still today their most powerful monsters. Dante himself is one of the greatest XYZ monsters ever printed, and probably the most summoned. It had a big booty, it floated, it could beat over most relevant cards in the format, it could still get its effect when warninged, or in later years, striked, and it could mill more Burning Abyss monsters. To trigger their effects is a cost. Obviously my opponent would mill Graph and Seer every fucking time, but I would only ever mill traps and spells. My life in a nutshell, the original deck building of Burning Abyss was quite limited. Activate Supply Squad, summon Math, send Graph, summon Scam, draw a card, set Wing Blast, get Tour Guide, and Pass was really the deck's best opening play. PogChamp. There were a few options like playing the Supply Squad, lots of discard traps, Mathematicians with a Shadow Dragon, and also Astral Force, to make Dante into Pleiades, thus never being able to summon a Burning Abyss monster ever again. You could also mill Astral Force and skip your draw phase, to add it to your hand and cuck your Burning Abyss monsters again even harder. Yeah, it was a pretty grim time to be a Burning Abyss player, really. The first major Duelist Alliance event was YCS Madrid and YCS Toronto, both on the same day. Burning Abyss achieved moderate success at these events as a hyped up stun deck, but were obviously outshined in performance by Shaddle's insane combo plays. It wasn't that Burning Abyss was a bad deck, it's just that Chaos Shaddles with triple soul charge and triple super poly was pretty fucking insane. A major landmark accomplishment for Burning Abyss at YCS Madrid was Shabbos. Because if you can't beat them, join them. Paolo Pacquiao achieved top 8 playing a deck utilizing both archetypes with Cura Bandits and beginning of the Ensta Turbo through the deck. This was a milestone in Burning Abyss deck building, for the deck would go on to be combined and mixed with so many different archetypes for years to come. Everyone's favorite underdog deck builder Jeff Jones also won an ARG in September with a smooth 20-20 ratio, playing things like Shadow Dragon Descend with Mathematician, Trap Stun for the Mirror and Satellanites, Mind Crush and fucking Razor the Monarch. Then the ban list came on October 1st, 2014, limiting Soul Charge, Reijiki and Super Poly. This severely crippled Shaddles and leveled the playing field for Burning Abyss. Of course, we have the great Billy Break to save us and come up with a strategy to fix and define the meta for us at the forthcoming YCS Dallas in October. How do we make our decks consistent and still powerful post-ban list? Well, apparently the best way to break the meta is to play every fucking card in said meta. Fuck my life. Billy's 60 card YCS Dallas list is an extension of Shabbos, but with more traps and the whole artifact engine. while taking advantage of the versatility of cards like Mathematician being able to trigger basically anything in the entire Duelist Alliance booster pack. What the fuck? Chapter 2, The New Challenges, November 6th, 2014. New Challenges was a booster pack that contained some of the worst fucking Burning Abyss cards that would ever see the light of a sweaty local's basement. Alich, who would only ever be used for negating Flying Sea, and Calcap, who was pretty much just a name. Conversely, we saw the introduction of the Tuna Rubik and of course Virgil, an underappreciated boss monster. For the rest of the meta, notable cards released were those such as Shadowhound, X-Deal. All just kidding, that was fucking garbage, but they got El Shadow Fusion, which means they were now able to dodge your shitty karma cut during the battle phase, and make another construct to further punch your cunt in. Satellanites also got a new monster whose main effect was the antithesis of Burning Abyss, non-destructive removal with Trigger. You were now basically forced to make lots of downed magicians with Seers and Dantes as your materials, or your deck would be bounced back to the Stone Age. It also had the effect where it would discard one card from your hand, but in a format of Shadow and Burning Abyss. It was not a very clever idea to use that effect. But of course I only ever played against fucking idiots and they used that effect anyway, and would always hit the only non-graveyard effect card in my hand. Fuck you. A new archetype also came into the fray, Cliffort. Cliffort would become the Achilles heel of Shadow, while at the same time being a fairly balanced to very favorable matchup for Burning Abyss, depending on how quickly you came to realize that Fire Lake of the Burning Abyss was absolutely fucking bonkers. The last relevant card to mention from New Challenges was Denko Sekka. Denko Sekka. Denko fucking Sekka. If you haven't experienced the pure terror and fear of when your opponent asks if it's okay to enter the main phase while you have a Dante and 3 back row, none of which can answer a Denko, then good for you, cocksucker. The first big event of New Challenges was ARG Raleigh. Patrick Hobban went on to win this event, then win YCS Anaheim 2 weeks later with basically the same deck, maining enemy controller, so that you could OTK your opponent using their own constructs, or taking their Dantes to rank up into downed magicians. This was while most of us plebs were still playing Burning Abyss, as if it was a stun deck in a format with 3 El Shadow Fusion and 3 Denko Sekka. This is why we suck. Patrick Hobban revolutionized the way Burning Abyss was played. While everyone looked at Rubik and saw it as nothing more than a vanilla tuner that you could play as a one-of to maybe access Virgil when needed, Patrick Hobban realized that Rubik was essentially a free monster on the field that you could make more Dantes with. Similarly, while Alich and Calcab were basically garbage, they were still Burning Abyss monsters, meaning that they could be spammed onto the field to make more Dantes alongside Rubik. Having multiple Dantes to blow away with Fire Lake was fucking crazy against Cliffort, and against all the other idiots like us still playing lots of real back row in Burning Abyss without Aliches and Calcaps, or for any of the idiots who went and bought Satellite Denubs at $50 a piece. Ha. 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 And so this was essentially the whole of New Challenges format, the infamous triangle and rock paper scissors format. Burning Abyss beats Cliffort, which beats Shadow, which beats Burning Abyss, with Satellite on the fringes. At least in theory. In hindsight, Burning Abyss was probably the better of the 3, completely shitting on Cliffort, and being fairly balanced against Shadow depending on how often they could open Denko Sekka, Baby Dragons and Shadow Fusion going second. Chapter 3, Secrets of Eternity, January 15th, 2015. Konami finally limited Moral Touch about 3 formats too late. Yes, really, they thought that was the fucking problem card going into 2015. Super Poly also got banned, and for some reason, Snatch Steal came back for literally 1 format only. Nice job by the way, Konami. That is effectively the ban list equivalent of whoopsie fucking daisy. I made a boo boo. 2 weeks later, Secrets of Eternity was released. This included more names to spam onto the field and an actual good main deck monster that wasn't just there as Dante and discard fodder. That was yours truly, Farfa. This gave Burning Abyss a reliable and consistent way to deal with Winder. Also, Konami attempted to make a Burning Abyss ritual monster for some god only knows reason, but let's ignore that. And now, Burning Abyss got Good and Evil, a card which lets you discard shit like Graph or Seer to search Fire Lake from your deck. Holy Jesus Christ. This was also the set with Kagna, which allowed you to send good and evil. And of course, Lee Bitch, or as Danny B.A. Master likes to call him.
One little bitch.
One little bitch.
One little bitch. See this motherfucker? He hustles. I like him. Mad respect.
Little bitch's effect meant that you now had a way to summon Burning Abyss monsters to the field without them blowing themselves the fuck up, like with Mathematician. In order to balance this solid support, Konami gave Clifford's Stealth a spell speed for unaffected compulsory evacuation towers on legs and a card that lets you draw for everything you tribute that turn. Clifford Monolith. Satellanites got Satellite and Stellanite Diamond. A card that, if you read closely on the original effect text, says, "Eat my ass" to Burning Abyss and Shadow. So all the relevant meta decks got awesome new juicy support. Oh wait, I forgot Shadow. I guess they got Shadow Wendigo. Sometimes I wonder if Konami actually read their cards and consider the repercussions of coming formats before they release sets and new ban lists whenever they're hit out with shit like Wendigo. Nobody in the history of this game has ever played that card in a deck list, even at locals. Not real people at least. Anyway, I digress. Burning Abyss were now pretty much above the triangle and about a mile ahead of the competition. At YCS Charleston 2015, apart from that crazy dude winning Swiss with Volcanics, the representation of Burning Abyss in top cut was almost 2/3 of the meter alongside Clifford and a few dolls. This was peak Burning Abyss at full power with Fire Lakes, enemy controllers, lots of names to spam the board with, and Farfa. Chapter 4, The Secret Forces, February 12, 2015. Poor Dante can't catch a break. It must really suck being a deck during the period in time where Konami releases two decks that arguably rival the power of Dragon Rulers. But as the old saying goes, seasons change and tyrants die. Never again would Burning Abyss be so dominant and as powerful as it was at YCS Charleston 2015 before Secret Forces. Anything from this point onwards is essentially a downward spiral. With the introduction of Necros, everything about the entire Burning Abyss archetype was directly countered. Unicore stops you from beating over anything. Bryanak is non-destructive removal. Trishula is non-destructive removal, which can also break your Seared and Tail loop. Vork stops your OTKs. And the deck also quite easily made Abyss Dweller. Literally everything good and strong about Burning Abyss was countered in the release of Necros. At YCS Tacoma in February 2015, won by Barrett Keys, the first major event of Secret Forces, 22 of the 32 top cut spots were Necros. Burning Abyss took 4 top cut spots. What the fuck? The deck went from 2/3 of a meter to basically rogue overnight. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. At YCS Prague, nothing had really changed. Necros was still the oh god wait what the fucking fuck what is going oh yes, that's right, for some reason Burning Abyss managed to win a YCS in full power Necros format. If that's not a beautiful underdog story for you, then I don't know what will touch your cold heart. Some crazy French dude called Valens Letter to manage to rage key break and wing blast his way to a win of a YCS in a format with a deck arguably more powerful than Dragon Rulers. Congratulations. Hero Strike was released a month prior, but nobody gave it much attention, obviously, other than budget and hero players. XD. Mask Change 2 was a new card that could let you easily make Dark Lore in Burning Abyss, and it seems that Dark Lore played a huge role in toppling Necros by banishing key combo pieces from the hand, while also keeping the graveyard banished. Nevertheless, this short-lived success can truthfully be relegated to an anomaly. After YCS Prague, Necros won the rest of the YCSs and major events during this half of the year until Nationals season. In April of 2015, all of the major Duelist Alliance decks got a hit on the ban list. Clifford's lost some consistency with a Scout and 2 Sacrifice going missing, but most importantly, 4 of their 6 main decked copies of Emptiness and Skill Drain were hit, making it an even easier matchup for Burning Abyss. Satellanites indirectly lost some floodgates too, as it was primarily a trap deck. The Snatch Steel Boo Boo was fixed, and Burning Abyss lost the best normal summon ever printed down to one single copy, Tour Guide from the Underworld. Somehow, Shadow managed to evade this ban list. I guess that was Konami's way of saying sorry for printing El Shadow Wendigo. Oh, and Gladiator Beast Bestiary went from 1 to 3 XD lol. Konami decided to give Necros a gentle prep to 1 and Brian Actor 2. A little consistency hit and nothing more. Meme ban list. Chapter 5, Crossed Souls, May 14th, 2015. Warning, spoilers. In Dante Alighieri's Devil May Cry poem, Dante completes his journey through Hello Kitty Island, also known as the 9 Circles of Hell, and ascends into a fusion monster. I don't know why Konami were determined to make Burning Abyss into anything other than an XYZ deck, but hey ho, Dante Pilgrim of the Burning Abyss, who would be better known as Pimp Dante, was garbage and unplayable along with Terminus on release. On the plus side, Burning Abyss had the most meme card ever printed apart from Emergency Teleport. Barbar 4 game would become the default meme way to lose in a duel from this point onward. They could simply Nightmare Shark and Barbar their way into a win in time, rather than trying to actually interact with and outskill their opponent. For the Burning Abyss players who tried to deal with the Parklefort Towers by using Heraldry Crest of Horror with Chrononaut and Astral Force, you failed, because Barbar in time was just funnier. For the time being, the support was fairly underwhelming, since more names wasn't really what Burning Abyss needed after already having 9 before this release. They needed more powerful utility to deal with Necros on the power level of the original Seer, Graph and Scam, especially since their tour guide had now been limited. While Barbar was a great card and meme, it's not really comparable to something like Bryanak or Trishula. So, Burning Abyss was effectively relegated to an anti-Necros deck. But other than Burning Abyss cards, they now got Fiend Griefing, a card that was able to severely disrupt Necros Cycle or Necros Mirror by forcing them to tribute things they didn't want to tribute, because you shuffled away their Shurit, while advancing your own game state with Absolute King Backjack, or sending Scam or more disruption by sending Farfa. The card was okay, but not enough to really make Burning Abyss the amazing contender that it deserved to be from days gone. In the lead up to National Season, Burning Abyss would remain a generic anti-Necros stun deck. But in late June of 2015, Matthew Monahan piloted a Downed Magician Turbo deck to victory of ARG Edison. The idea behind this deck was that you wanted to go second and put up a huge board of multiple Dantes to rank up into Downed Magician, then activate the Village of the Spellcasters, which would mean Necros would have no way to be able to conduct a ritual summon. A ritual deck without spells is like a UG tuber without good content. Oh wait. Anyway, it was probably the coolest and most unique inception of Burning Abyss, since its peak very early in the year. During the national season, after winning basically every single YCS and most of its top cut spots in the year so far, Necros failed to take either the European WCQ or the North American WCQ in America. The finals was a Burning Abyss mirror match in Necros format. What the fucking fuck? I don't get it either. It's like a Burning Abyss fairy tale. Good job Noah, you cunt. To round off national season, we got the July 2015 ban list, which saw the banning of Lavalval Chain Engine, while also limiting Shurit. Burning Abyss and Shadow did not take any hits whatsoever, and so it looked like they would survive for another set release. Chapter 6, Clash of Rebellions, August 6th, 2015. Clash of Rebellions was a tough set for Burning Abyss. They had already finished their journey through the Devil May Cry franchise and the last booster pack, so anything in Clash of Rebellions had to be cards that were similar to Fiend Griefing, non-archetypal support that directly benefits the deck. Unfortunately, the powerful new clown cards did quite the opposite, but boosted the power of Burning Abyss's contemporary competition, Shadow and Necros. It gave their decks more powerful light monsters and rank 4 plays. And we all know what more rank 4 access means. That's right, more Abyss Dweller access. Fuck my life. Regardless, for the first major YCS of the new set at YCS Toronto, Gabri Lauras and Ween took first place with Burning fucking Abyss. Yes, this shit was still not only topping, but winning events despite its arch nemesis, Shadows, getting some pretty sick clown support and Necros still being pretty powerful despite a second ban list, and also utilizing the new clowns. The decks were still trying to replicate the success of Noah Green at the North American WCQ by relying on the synergy with trap cards. The following month in the Megatons, Necros and Shadows now got to play around with instant fusion with the release of Norden, a 1-card rank 4 that could bring back clowns for more Abyss Dweller plays. Fucking shit out of luck, Dante. Sorry. After the release of Norden, the next major event was YCS Dallas in October 2015. The winner of this event was drumroll please drumroll Infernoids by Eric Christensen. Yes, in a format where Shadows were as close as they would ever be to full power, Necros and Burning Abyss having snowball success, Infernoids won the fucking event. I don't think even Eric himself knows how he managed to win an event that format with Infernoids, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Surprisingly at YCS Dallas there was a very mixed meter of Shadows, Necros, Burning Abyss and even pure clowns. Notable Burning Abyss pilots like Deception and Kotti Angelov managed to take more spots than Shadows, a total of 6 despite the clown support and Norden. What a fucking meme. You had literally one job, El Shadow Construct, and you fucked it up. One final thing to mention here on the same weekend was the release of Speedroid Terratop and High Speed Riders, also known as Speedroid Auto Top, which would become a staple in the deck for the future. However, for this event, surprisingly, none of the recorded Burning Abyss tops at YCS Dallas 2015 played the engine. Chapter 7, Dimension of Chaos, November 5, 2015. New set, new me, XD. The November 2015 ban list is one of the most severe and drastic lists in recent years. Necros lost Shurit and arguably Exit and Knight 2. Bryonak and Unicorn were limited, and Rota was limited. Shadows lost El Shadow Construct, the heart and soul of its deck. They lost Mathematician and El Shadow Fusion was limited to 1. Cliffort also lost Towers. Burning Abyss did not go without a hit either, with Seer being limited to 2 and Graph to 1. While the other decks were essentially killed off, Seer to 2 and Graph to 1 only meant that the deck could not rely on milling consistently well as a strategy. So long as Seer remained at 1, there would always be a Dante Seer loop, and so long as Graph remained at 1, there would always be a powerful target for the searchable tour guide. While on paper this was a severe ban list for Burning Abyss, the deck would still be very playable for another fucking year somehow. The November 2015 ban list was so pivotal and monumental for the whole of Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. Not only did it permanently annihilate Necros, it was the ban list that effectively saw the end of the initial triangle between Cliffort, Shadow and Burning Abyss. The decks changed their structures over the course of their support, but that enmity between each deck was always there. While Dante got to survive and live on from November 2015, the original rivalry of the Burning Abyss and Shadows would never be what it once was ever again with the banning of Construct. The bittersweet rivalry that Shadows and Burning Abyss shared was now gone forever. While nothing could ever replace Shadows as the arch nemesis, we would get something that at least attempted to imitate the intensity and hatred between both decks. Dimension of Chaos saw the inception of Cosmo Dark Destroyer. Cosmo Dark Destroyer was the bane of many decks, particularly decks that rely on beating over things smaller than 2500 or at least being able to target them with traps or removal LMAO XD. Dark Destroyer did neither, and then it floated into another untargetable floater bigger than 2500 attack. As the events came in one after the other, Burning Abyss was on a sort of drought. The deck was effectively off the radar with Dark Destroyer and also Kirin the Bouncing Unicorn, a card that cannot be destroyed or targeted and constantly returns with each pendulum summon. If you thought Stealth and Construct were worthy rivals, well, Burning Abyss now had to deal with Kirin and Dark Destroyer. But just when you thought you could write Dante off so quickly because of some dumb Darth Vader spaceship wannabe Death Star that loses to a system down, Burning Abyss got 2 tops at YCS San Jose after Dimension of Chaos went live. One by based Lali Alex and Alice Gath and another by Norberto Leon. Both of their deck lists were extremely similar and played over 20 traps with 3 Traveler each and 2 Fire Lake for Lolly and 3 for Norberto. Chapter 8, Breaker of Shadows, January 14, 2016. In January 2016, Breaker of Shadows brought about Pepe, the strongest deck in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Monarchs were now part of the meta with the release of Emperor of Darkness also. This was also the set where Burning Abyss received their first indirect support card in a long time. Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Fiendish Rhino Warrior now allowed you to not auto scoop to Ojama Trio, and it gave your deck more versatility and consistency. But while Fiendish Rhino Warrior was a really amazing card, it obviously is incomparable to full power Pepe. Now, not only did Burning Abyss have to deal with Cosmo Dark Destroyer, now it had to deal with Dragon Rulers on steroids, and further than that, Stormforth Erebus Turbo, which had a searchable Vanity's emptiness in the form of Domain of the True Monarchs. In early February 2016, Wing Raiders dropped a new archetype called Phantom Knights. Phantom Knights would later become incredibly incremental to the deck's strategy. While many people debated whether or not they were worth playing as they were quite lackluster in the hand to draw, and with a lure only at 1 they didn't seem very strong. As you can expect, the deck did basically nothing in this full power Pepe format aside from a few regional tops until the emergency ban list. Thankfully, Pepe only lasted 1 event at maximum power, so you'd be hard pressed to call it a format. In late February 2016, Valen's Letter who topped last year in Necros format with Burning Abyss this year went and got 3rd place somehow again with Burning Abyss, the fucking psycho. In March 2016 the last major top of Burning Abyss before Infinite Gold was top 4 by Trenell Williams, the only Burning Abyss player in top cut, at YCS Vegas playing the aforementioned Phantom Knights, and also running to Horn of Heaven, 4 Solemns and 3 anti-spell. It was the anti-Draco Pal deck. Chapter 9, Premium Gold, Infinite Gold, March 17th, 2016. When Beatrice was imported to the TCG in March 2016, the collective Burning Abyss player base was set on fucking fire. This also meant Pimp Dante was now relevant, after being a binder warmer for so long. Beatrice could also get her effect when she was solemn warninged, which many of you scrubs tried to do, as the text says possession, not control. Hahaha. This card alone propelled Burning Abyss from a somewhat lackluster choice to the center of the meter against Monarchs and Cosmo. Beatrice could send any Burning Abyss monster from your deck on your opponent's turn like Farfa, Alich and Shadow Dragon. You could also send other cards to further your game state like Slumber, to search a Dark Destroyer out, and Scam to search Tour Guide. It was around this time at ARG Detroit that Jeff Jones blew up the internet again by combining Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights together to create the ridiculous mess that would annoyingly be known as PK Fire. While people had already played it before, like Trenell Williams at Vegas, it was further popularized by Jeff at this event. In April 2016 was YCS Houston. A few Burning Abyss players topped, but the vast majority of them ran Phantom Knights and Terratops. And there was also a random fucking Sky Scourge Burning Abyss deck in there too, piloted by Jesse Flaws. As I said before, Burning Abyss could synergize with literally anything at all, if you try hard enough. After YCS Houston, on April the 11th 2016, the ban list dropped, banning much of the overpowered Pepe cards, but also furthering Draco Pal's destruction by limiting important combo pieces like Face Off and its main anti-Cosmo card, Ignister. For all intents and purposes, this basically made Pendulum unplayable, at least for now. Burning Abyss was slightly boosted by upping Allure to 2. But the biggest nerf to Burning Abyss was semi-limiting Emergency Teleport. XD. I'm not funny. Chapter 10, Shining Victories, May 5th, 2016. This set greatly boosted the power of one of the 2 main rivals of Burning Abyss, Cosmo. Cosmo could do a lot of crazy first turn combos now with nothing but a Fire King Island and any ship. Despite all the crazy shit Cosmo could do, Burning Abyss was still able to put a Kaiju over whatever the fuck they summoned and attack for low enough life points to win in time with Barbar and Nightmare Shark. Haha. An important card released in this set was Ghost Reaper, a card that could completely destroy your deck. If your opponent dropped this on you turn 1, you were fucked 90% of the time. But after turn 1 it surprisingly was not that powerful, as you could still bring back your Dante and rank it up into a Beatrice. Despite how good this card was on paper against Burning Abyss, at the end of May, Timid picked up a format-defining win at YCS Providence. He piloted a PK Fire list that would go on to become the standard and staple build for months to come. In June the following month, 2016, was YCS Origins. PK Fire took the victory again, but we also got to see an interesting new take on the deck, Burning Abyss Monarchs. Piloted by Darren Stevenson all the way to top 16, the deck could put up Burning Abyss cards turn 1, milling either more Burning Abyss cards or Pantheisms, then setting yourself up for Monarch plays on your opponent's turn. For Nationals season 2016, it felt like it was a payback situation of 2015. This time, instead of Necros being the meter and Burning Abyss being the meter call, the meter was now PK Fire and the meter call was Domain Monarch. Piloted by Eric Christensen to first place of the North American WCQ. Yes, that same Eric Christensen that won an event with fucking Infernoids. Domain, of course, the searchable emptiness, was a thorn in the side for Burning Abyss, making that a very intelligent meter call. In Europe, Major Spectres, a deck that cannot be destroyed or fucking targeted, was victorious. There was also a prevalence of Odd Eyes performable in top cut of Euros 2016 by Complexity Card Gaming, who saw this meter of PK Fire as a chance to play a deck that ran 6 Curins. Oh, and this while an idiot came second at the UK Nationals with pure Burning Abyss somehow.
BA, right. I heard some rumours up in England, after I conquered the Scottish regionals. They be up there saying that Monarch is the best deck, and I be telling them it's unbeatable. So they say, haha, PM me when you go to real event. So come up to the Nationals. We came up and we tooled everybody, then lost in the final real quick. I think it's a fucking fix, boys. This deck, I don't know how this deck could be beaten. That doesn't matter. PM me when you get Minerva, Jobin. They give me this card. It's like Dante, but shit. Don't know why this is prized. They should make Dante the prize.
Chapter 11, The Dark Illusion, August 4th, 2016. Dark Illusion brought out Pot of Desires as probably the only noteworthy card for Burning Abyss, but it was a powerful card nonetheless. Many argued that banishing your one of Teketemborg, Tour Guide, Graphosaur was not worth running it, but many Burning Abyss decks topped and had been successful with it throughout the format. Dark Illusion also saw the introduction of the Metal Foes and Paleozoic archetypes. At YCS Toronto 2016 there were still numerous Burning Abyss tops, and quite a few of them were high tops like Solid Calvin in top 16. However, it is important to not confuse him with Liquid Calvin for this event. In top 8 there was Patrick James, and of course the winner of the whole event was Bodden fucking Timnick. As a note, about half of the Burning Abyss tops ran Pot of Desires. This was a solid performance for a deck contending with Kirin. On August 29th, for a ban list to occur in 2016, exactly 2 years after the first Burning Abyss were printed, you would expect Konami to obliterate the deck finally. A year after its original arch nemesis, Shadows got destroyed. Apparently not, for somehow, some way, some goddamn fucking reason, Burning Abyss survived. Again. Another ban list. Monix and that hair-pulling blood-boiling annoying Stormforth were hit along with Dark Destroyer Forever. Burning Abyss did take a hit too, of course, but nowhere near a severe one. Single Beatrice was still functional, and Seer being limited to 1 made no difference to it being at 2 since the Seer loop was still there. Allure also got bumped up to 3, meaning that you had even more ways to get dead Phantom Knights out of your hand and into the banished zone as combo extenders for your Levianes. The following 2 YCS, Minneapolis and Mexico City, were won by Metal Foes. Almost unsurprisingly, because even though Kirin the Bouncing Cunt was limited to 1, it was still accompanied by 3 Bunbuku. These events saw a very diverse mix in the meta, perhaps the most diverse meta Burning Abyss has ever participated in. There were all kinds of decks topping these events, like Blue Eyes, Metal Foes, Major Spectres, Infernoids, Mermail and Minerva. Burning Abyss was still meta. Chapter 12, Structure Deck Sato Kebe and Invasion Vengeance. On October 20th 2016, a BC was introduced. Buster Dragon proved to be another painful boss monster that Burning Abyss had to deal with, but it was not a challenge that Burning Abyss had never seen before. From Winder to Unicorn to Dark Destroyer and now Buster Dragon, Dante has found ways to deal with all of them, and a week later, Thomas Rose found a way to overcome that challenge by winning YCS Liverpool 2016 with Burning fucking Abyss. It would appear that Burning Abyss has this weird and shitty habit of winning events it has no business even making top cut in. But here we are. Thomas Rose played cards specifically designed to destroy a BC like Triple Chaos Hunter, Triple Ghost Reaper and Vanity's Fiend. On November 3, 2016, the power of the new decks grew. Metal foes received support such as Alcahest and a themed Del Shadow fusion. How ironic. Paleozoics also became mixed together with frogs to create a stun deck even Dante himself would be impressed with. But above all, we saw one of the strongest traps ever printed, Dimensional Barrier. It was one thing to deal with Kirin, totally awesome and annoying fucking blue eyes monsters that can't be targeted or destroyed, but to not even be able to play your deck was a whole other story. Of course Dimensional Barrier affected everyone and every deck, but it was yet another problem to deal with while playing Burning Abyss. But while the triangle of Paleozoic frogs, metal foes and a BC was underway and raging at full power at YCS Bochum in December 2016, Burning Abyss was able to be piloted yet again to top 16, piloted by Fotis Papadaliacus. The resilience of Burning Abyss must be commended, for no matter how many times Dante has been knocked down, somehow, some way, he has found a way to keep topping events he has no fucking business topping at all. Chapter 13, Raging Tempest, February 9th, 2017. I found it quite funny that the final chapter of the Journey of Burning Abyss is chapter number 13. If you've managed to watch this far, I genuinely want to thank you for your patience listening to this garbage text-to-speech cunt, and also my horrible and funny jokes. But we are almost at the finish line. On February 9, 2017, Raging Tempest hit the stores and with it, some of the most powerful support ever printed for Burning Abyss, arguably better than the original Graph, Seer, and Scam. You could now combine two Burning Abyss monsters together to access the overlay network and create an MX Saber Invoker who could then summon a Zodiac Ratpier from your deck, making an Enfield of Dread and Kagutsuchi Invoker and potentially a Beatrice with set Fogblade. PogChamp. In all seriousness, Raging Tempest saw the introduction of yet another contender for possible best deck of all time. It seems that Burning Abyss has now overseen 3 top 5 most powerful decks. With Raging Tempest obviously Zodiac format, it was not quite the end of Dante's journey. Near the end of February at YCS Seattle, a 60 card Burning Abyss deck made top cut by Destin Caspi. It ran 60 cards. That grass looks greener, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, to send with Beatrice and 3 Vanity's Fiend with basically the maximum number copies of every Burning Abyss monster ever fucking printed. And then again the following month, at YCS Atlanta in March 2017, Tyler Allen forced piloted Burning Abyss Shadow Zodiac to a top 32. It is almost poetic that one of the last ever recorded tops of Burning Abyss was in a deck joined with its old arch nemesis and rival, Shadow. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are under Master Rule 4, for all intents and purposes, the nail in the coffin of Burning Abyss. The deck, at the premier event level, may just be completely done and dusted forever. Until Konami prints a Burning Abyss Link monster or a generic Link monster with a fiendish Rhino style effect, we can safely assume that with Master Rule 4, Dante has died. And so, that is it, the legacy of Burning Abyss. From August 14, 2014 to July 20, 2017, that equates to 1071 total days as a meta deck to lesser and greater extents. This is the longest reigning meta deck in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you played during this time, congratulations, you have literally been a part of record-breaking history. Thank you again everyone for watching. Whether you loved or hated Burning Abyss, I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. This script was about 7,000 words with hours upon hours of drawing. I really put my heart and soul into this video, because I feel like Burning Abyss deserves a tribute as meaningful as this one, and I can only hope I did the deck a deserving service. Please do subscribe and like. If you really enjoyed it then please, do share it with others. And now, to celebrate the memory of Dante, if you watched this far, then leave a hashtag 1000 days of meta in the comments below. Let me know which deck you want to know the legacy of next, and until next time plebs, farewell.